before the and? What do we do? No.
I'm sorry I'm late, Mr. Martin.
All right, David, sit down.
Thank you.
Well, who can give me an example of a list? Andrew, what about you?
Eggs, milk, and flour.
Yes, that's right. Well, David, what happened to you this morning?
I'm afraid I overslept. You see, I went to London yesterday with my sister, and I didn't get back till late last night.
Oh, that's interesting, especially as we've been studying life in the capital in the last few weeks. Well, let's see how observant you are. Tell the rest of the class what you saw in London.
Well, I saw the House of Parliament, and I saw the Tower of London.
David, suppose you start at the beginning. Tell us how you got there and what you saw on the way.
Well, my older sister Susan suggested that we went on a sightseeing tour of London.
Bye, darling. Have a lovely time.
Bye. Bye, Mum. Bye. Bye. This was the first time we'd been allowed to go to London on our own. First, we had to catch a bus in the village.
Well, tell us why, David.
Because we had to get to the nearest mainline station to catch a fast train to London. Dad had given us the money for fares, and some pocket money. 1.5 to the station, please.
18 pence, please. Thank you.
Is it automatic?
Semi-automatic.
Do you think it's going to be sunny?
I don't know. What did they say on the radio this morning?
They said it might rain later.
That would be rotten for the farmers. They've just started harvesting.
I've been here before, with Mum, when she does her shopping. Let's go through the market. It's great.
Okay, and we can buy some fruit for the journey.
We didn't have very long. Susan was afraid we might miss the train.
Yes, you have to be on time. The intercity trains don't stop for very long because they provide a fast service for people travelling long distances, especially businessmen. And there's a dining car for passengers who want a meal or refreshments on the way. Now go on, David. Tell us about the journey and what you saw.
Well, we went past the new motorway. That goes to London, doesn't it?
Yes. Although the railways provide a freight service, a lot of goods are transported by road.
We had a bet. Which was the quickest way to go? I told Susan the train could go over 100 miles an hour.
All right, if you're so clever, tell me what that is over there.
A coal mine, of course.
Well, there are coal mines in the south of England, but most of them are in Wales, Scotland and the north. But what other industries did you notice?
There was a power station, and then a bit further on, we passed the steelworks. At least I think it was. It had lots of pipes and things. Are we in London now?
Yes, this is the suburbs. We'll soon be at Euston Station. Then we'll get an underground train to Piccadilly Circus.
Why is it called Euston? Shouldn't it be called London Station?
London's a big place. I think there are about 6 mainline stations. Here we are at Euston. We'll get the Victoria line to Green Park, and then we'll change onto the Piccadilly line for Piccadilly Circus. Mind you don't trip.
The underground was great. We could have gone for miles and miles, but Susan said there wasn't time. Then we came out of the subway, and we were in Piccadilly Circus. Why is it called a circus?
Because it's a round or circular place. That's what any circus is when you think about it. And where did you go from Piccadilly Circus?
We caught a sightseeing bus. Susan and I sat upstairs, right at the front. We saw the Tower of London. That's really an old castle. Then we crossed Tower Bridge.
I bet you don't know the name of the river.
Of course I do. It's the River Thames.
I suppose you learnt that at school. Further on, David, we'll see Big Ben and the Houses of Parliament.
Where's Buckingham Palace then?
We're going there next.
I hope we see the changing of the guard. What's that flag?
I think it's called the Royal Standard. They only fly it when the Queen's at home.
Where are we now?
Hold on, I'm looking it up on the map. Yes, here we are. This is called the Horse Guards Parade.
That's Queen Boadicea. She was killed fighting the Romans. Come on. I'm hungry. Let's have our lunch. While we ate our sandwiches, we watched the boats on the river.
Those long, flat-bottomed boats you saw on the Thames are called barges. There are some quite big craft going up and down with cargoes, and further downstream where the river is deeper, there are docks for ocean-going ships.
What shall we do next?
Let's go to Trafalgar Square and feed the pigeons.
We went back to Piccadilly Circus again, because we really hadn't seen it properly. Susan said it's a meeting place for people from all over the world. They sit on the steps underneath the statue of Eros.
I'm a stranger here. Can you tell me the way to Buckingham Palace?
Oh, yes. You go down there and turn left into Trafalgar Square. Then you find the man at the end of there.
Fine. Thanks very much.
I couldn't understand what she said. Where did he come from?
I think he comes
Susan told me he came from Northumberland. Where's that?
That's a county in the north of England. You find that people from different parts of the country speak with different accents. Londoners are known as Cockneys. They can be even more difficult to understand.
There seem to be an awful lot of people in London who aren't English.
Well, don't forget the Irish, the Scots and the Welsh. But apart from them, there are people from most of Britain's former colonies. Africa, India, Malaya, Hong Kong and the West Indies. In some parts of London, they have formed their own communities. You can walk the whole length of a street and hardly see an English face. Many of those who've settled here have set up small businesses. Did you go to the City of London? That's the oldest part, where London really began. It's also most typically English.
Yes, we got out at an underground station called Bank.
Named after the Bank of England. You see, the city is the big business centre. You may have noticed how people dressed. You can even tell a man's job by his clothes. Stockbrokers, for instance, wear top hats.
There was one funny thing I saw. There was a newspaper stand with nobody looking after it. People just came and helped themselves.
But I don't suppose you saw one person take a paper without paying for it.
That's right. They all put money in a tin.
Now carry on. What else did you do?
We still had a bit of time before we caught our train. Susan wanted to go and hear the speakers in Hyde Park.
And what she spends it on. Trying to persuade her to buy what she can't afford or what she doesn't really want.
What is this? Where do you come from, sir? You're an Englishman. You should be ashamed of yourself. What are you proud of in England as an Englishman? You compliment. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this morning, I am going to start by insulting the English. When I finish with the English, I go to the Americans. From the Americans, the Australians.
Isn't that man rude?
Do you think there's going to be a fight?
The policemen don't seem to mind.
Second World War.
To go out there and to teach you people. The consumer. The housewife. Always fast. And your name?
It was quite funny, really. People just seemed to say what they liked.
It's interesting you should comment on that, David. I suppose other people would call it the Englishman's sense of fair play. The right to say what you want without being afraid.
We forgot all about the time. We had to hurry to catch the train. It was very late by the time we got home. That's why I overslept.
Never mind. I think we've all learned quite a lot from your visit. Now, for your homework, I want you all to write an essay on an exciting day out. That should be an easy one for you, David.